What is up? What is up, folks? Good morning. Good to see everybody in the chat hanging out already. I was kind of lurking just a few minutes ago, just checking out, seeing about how many was in there and what y'all were talking about this morning. So, what about Adfleet? I guess I missed that one. Has she been removed? Is it like a temporary something or another? I mean, does anybody know any more details on it? I'll have to check into that. That is crazy. I like Adfleet. I was hoping one day to get me an Adfleet. Then I would know I made it. We gotta do something about that. We gotta get Adfleet back. Plus, look, that's some good work. I can understand a lot of people not being happy about it. Maybe. Let me see who all we got here. I'm going to start calling everybody out first thing, at least the ones that are in there when I get here. Nature's Nectar, yes, you did catch me this time. Thank you for being here. And yes, you pop back in anytime you can, or just listen if you've got to. Nosy Google, good morning, good to see you. Keza Hugo, absolutely good to see you. Some more of our international community. Hope everything's going good in Australia. Miss Susan, the hall monitor. Everybody do what Miss Susan says now. Like and subscribe. Susan, it's always good to see you. You know that. Oswald's last call. Good to see you. Let's see. Briggs in here this morning. Good morning. Let's see. Who else we got? Brett, the man. Hey, buddy. Good to see you, obviously. And Scruff, if I have not already said Scruff, good to see you. Start to lose track after you get so far along. Yeah, good to see everybody in the chat. Oh, there's Kelly. Good to see you this morning, Kelly. Let's see. Make sure I don't miss anybody. All right, if I missed anybody, I'll just pop your name there in the chat, okay? Good to see everybody. Thank y'all for showing up. We always have such a good time. I absolutely love it. So what I got this morning is somebody may be new to some of y'all. I know that Brett is at least somewhat familiar, but her name's Lee. She has I started watching her on X. Her channel is called the Leah Files, and she has now made a YouTube channel. So obviously y'all can go check her out if you want to just go there and watch her directly at the Leah Files. And I would encourage anybody to go do that. But it was really good. Her first episode was really good. I've enjoyed her little short clips that she's been doing on X and other places. So I thought, well, I'll bring this first podcast of hers. We'll watch it, talk about it, break it down as we go. And yeah, obviously, if y'all want me to keep doing that, we'll do more of them. Or if y'all just want to go over there and watch her over there, that's fine too. So we'll play that one by ear. But she did a real good job on this first episode. She's breaking down. Basically, she touches on most everything that it's kind of a condensed version of what Barron has been touching on when it comes to Andrew Kvette, the finances. This new revelation about the tip from Mikey, Stacey Sheridan, and just this whole alleged, possible, maybe dirty, we'll just say dirty stuff going on under the table, money-wise there. And again, that's allegedly, maybe, possibly. Doesn't seem to be illegal, but there is a difference. Just because it's legal does not mean that it's good practice. It does not mean that it's ethical. So anyway, without further ado, and hey, Nosy, yes, I'll be watching for any big breaking bombshells on these UFO files that are supposed to drop. I've been seeing some interesting stuff on it. We may cover just some of the hubbub about it one morning, maybe tomorrow morning. So anyway, there's some interesting stuff going on it. Yes, Scruff Lee is awesome. She's got a private intelligence firm. She was in the intelligence community, previously, and now she's got her own private intelligence firm. And seems to do pretty good work. I really, really like her a lot. And if you happen to hear this, Lee, or if anybody hears this that knows how to get in touch with Lee, I would love to talk to you. Absolutely love to talk to you. Love to have you on, whatever. I'd love to have a conversation. Love the work. Good work, good work, good work. All right, guys. Without further ado, with video on the first try, I promise.
In Things I Never Thought I'd Say, welcome to episode 1 of the Leah Files podcast. I'm your host, Leah. You've probably seen me yapping on TikTok or X, and now we are bringing it to your screens in longer form content. At your request, I am honored and excited to be doing this. It's episode 1. Give me some grace. I don't even know where to look on my computer, but we are going to learn. We are going to get through this, and we are going to make this the best podcast ever. If you are joining from TikTok or X, welcome. If you are new here, the Leah Files focuses on fraud and corruption through follow the money, pattern recognition, and behavioral assessments. We look into politicians, we look into nonprofits, and we will even be doing some true crime. Whatever you guys want, whatever pops on our radar and we can follow the money on, that's what we'll do. I'm Leah. I spent my career in intelligence. I've had the honor and privilege to work on some of the most interesting, scary, fascinating projects that we have had. And I'm an economist by trade. I follow the money. That's what I do. I'm a numbers person. I speak in numbers. I see in numbers. Everything is a pattern.
Speaking of lizard people, and this is just a little, this won't be a long side detour, I guess you could say. Anyway. There is a clip going around on X. I should have loaded it up for y'all to see. Yeah, has anybody seen, I know you have, Brett, you don't count. Has anybody seen the clip now that's going around of the editing that was done to a video that had a clip of Erica Kirk in it? And when they were editing the video, they went to back it up. And when they backed it up, all of a sudden her face somehow transformed into, a lizard person is about how I would describe it. Very, very strange. I've never seen anything like that before. Not saying that she's a lizard person. It's all allegedly, but yeah, the person that was posting about it was, you could tell, was pretty weirded out. So anyway. Yeah, looked like Erica. Start to back it up a little bit, and oh lordy, it just transformed just for a split second, and then it went back. It's crazy. It didn't just look like artifacts. I don't know. Weird.
Patterns, combining my pattern recognition with my experience over the past 22 years now, and with my ability to read people. That is the perspective that I will come from. I now have a corporate intelligence firm. We do due diligence on executives for private equity firms and boards. We look into fraud within corporations. We also look at risk in leadership and CEOs, and we will bring some of that into our investigations as well. Please, if you have not
In other words, she knows her shit, so pay attention.
Already, join us on Substack. My paid subscribers on Substack get to see the podcast episodes 2 days early. There are also some other benefits. This is a reader, listener, sponsored channel, and it's my honor. You guys are amazing. And if we can be one of the top channels in politics, it would mean that we are making a difference. So please head over there and support. If you have feedback, let me know. With that said, let's get into episode 1 of the Leah Files.
Some of us don't have the luxury of starting a YouTube channel like this, and this is no knock on her. This is not, I'm not talking shit in any form or fashion. She actually did it right. She started doing videos on the other platform, short clips. And, you start doing that and you work on the editing and, you get good at all these things, doing clips. And then she went to Substack and she started, and I think, I guess her first podcast video went on there first. But either way, regardless, she got good at all this before she started her YouTube channel. And so now she starts this YouTube channel and everything looks good and professional. And I tell you what, it really, really does. I'm impressed. It's some of us, it's a major work in progress. We're getting there. But anyway, I am impressed. Very, very nice. Very nice setup, Leah. Love the intro video too.
On September 2nd, 2025, Charlie Kirk sent out an internal memo. He announced Justin Strife as the COO and said he was going to be leading a Doge-like assessment into TPUSA's financials and operations.
Hey, be careful with that, Leah. It was a Doge-style effort, I think. Definitely not an audit, though. Remember, definitely, most definitely, not an audit.
What that told me when I heard that was that the CEO saw some red flags and wanted to know what was going on. He didn't think he was being told the truth from his...
Oh no. According to Tyler and all of them, that's just a standard thing. He was just kind of announcing it. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary. They do them all the time.
Leadership team. He moved Tyler Boyer out of that position that he had held since 2017. So what is that, 8 years? And he announced someone else as a COO. And so that is what started me on this TPUSA investigation journey in the first place.
And I've never heard a satisfactory reason as to why he moved Tyler Boyer out of that position after 8 years. Just saying. Don't know that it means anything, but I haven't. If anybody else has, you can let me know.
It is not personal. And as much heat as I take online, it all started because I was like, I'm going to appoint myself as the head of Doge. I want to know why the CEO felt like there were red flags. And then 8 days later, he was assassinated. This internal Doge-like assessment was immediately canceled by Erica Kirk or Tyler Boyer. I don't actually know who exactly canceled it, but it was one of them. And that raised even more red flags for me. So there's a lot that you can find through public information. Obviously,
and don't matter which one of them it was that canceled it, it's equally as bad. And more than likely, they probably both had some input, I'm guessing. So, and there was probably a little Kvette, you know, there's probably several people that threw in some input there.
We don't have access to their internal governance structure. We don't have access to their internal financials. We only have the 90s. We only have the FEC filings. We have what we have online, but there is so much that you can find. And when you start to put it together and you start to identify the gaps and the risks, you really start to see what Charlie Kirk was concerned about. And that's what I've been finding. So that is how we started on this journey in the first place. And today's episode 1, we are going to go into a deep dive on Andrew Kvette. A few days ago, Candace Owens got on her show and said Mikey McCoy had sent her a message allegedly through a third party that said, look at Andrew Kvette. Mikey McCoy was chief of staff of Turning Point USA. So the question is, 1, is Mikey McCoy trustworthy? Who is our source, right? When you get information, especially when it's volunteered, you always want to make sure that you understand, where is that person coming from? What could be their motives? Why would they be giving me this now? You have to look at all of that before you can assess the validity of the information. It doesn't necessarily mean Andrew Kvette's guilty. It doesn't mean anything. But I was like, let's look into him. And I had already done a deep dive.
But I haven't seen anything yet to say that he is not also. So and I'm not alleging anything. And if I was, it'd be allegedly.
Of Andrew Kvette back in March. He was part of my Follow the Money deep dive. I saw a lot of red flags with him, how he got into TPUSA, the financial structure. He is nowhere to be seen, which we'll get into, his relationship with many, many players. So doing this deep dive from the lens of Mikey McCoy saying, hey, look at him, we're just going to open up the floodgates and see what we can find. But first, we're going to go into a little bit about who is our source and why might he have said, look at Andrew Kvette.
You got to be careful with them floodgates. Sometimes you get washed down the river.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Leah Files. Who are Mikey McCoy and Andrew Kvette? Let's go. So we're going to watch some of the footage just to understand the...
There's no blood, guys. No blood. This is a YouTube safe video because this one has been up on YouTube.
Oh, Mikey McCoy part of this, because for a while he was definitely on the radar. This is a video from my friend Sam on X. He does a good job at covering a lot of this stuff. You can see Sam's handle down here, so if you want to give him a follow. Keep an eye on the guy in the corner. He brings up his phone to his hand. his hand to his ear. And then he immediately turns and walks away behind the tent. I'm sure some of you have seen it. He reappears. His call.
Hey, you have a good work day. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you very much.
Calmness is what I think everyone is questioning. Why was he so calm? He's not running. He's not at all interested in what just happened. Did his friend live? Is he okay? It is probably one of the strangest things about this whole incident. He's rushed into the SUV. Mikey McCoy's walking away. He doesn't care. So he's turned his back on Charlie. He has no idea what's happened. He hasn't checked on him. Okay, so you can see in that video that Mikey
And I mean, there were several excuses given about the whole way that he was acting and how that whole timeline worked. There is absolutely no, there's just no explanation there's just no logical explanation to it. He, as Candace has said, as Barron has said, there's been several pointed out, he did not dial any numbers. We can see that. He had the phone. I mean, he put it up to his face. When Charlie fell over, he never even looked over there. One could say, he was scared to look. I don't really buy that. The other assumption would be that he didn't need to look. He already knew. These are all allegedly, and I don't really know. But either way, to me, it's messed up. And then for him to turn around and walk off, turn his back, and never look back, never check up, never missed a step, never missed a beat. Now, old Baldy, old Blake Ness Speed, as chubby as he is, I think he outrun Mikey for a second, or he almost caught up with him. Either one. He was boot scooting a little bit, but yeah, Mikey never looked back, and to me, that is just there's just no logical explanation for that.
McCoy wasn't interested. Like, I know so many.
And he wasn't scared. Again, I can understand if he was scared and he was just like, oh shit, and took off running. But that is not the demeanor. That's not the actions of somebody that is in fear of their life.
Many people have covered this. I've never given my thoughts on it, but it is definitely something that stood out to me. It is not a normal reaction in any sense. You either knew that's what you're behaving like, you didn't care. No, it doesn't make sense. So the tip coming from Mikey was always interesting to me. It's almost more interesting than Andrew Kvette himself, because it's like, what do you mean? Look at Andrew Kvette. I don't know. The footage is bizarre. This is bizarre. That footage is as bizarre as Erica Kirk not being there, but that's fine. That's for another day. So then I started to look into Mikey McCoy just because I wanted to understand what would he have had to gain from giving this tip to Candace Owens, right? Well, interestingly enough, and I'm sure some of you know this, Mikey McCoy.
And it's sad. You always have to assess things that way. It's just in these days and times, especially in those circles, you have to always assume that there is some ulterior motive. It's just the way it is, as much as it may seem there is not. When somebody does something like that, there is always going to be some type of advantage for them. That's just the way it goes.
Boy, his father is Pastor Rob McCoy, and his father co-founded TPUSA Faith with Charlie Kirk in 2021. Mikey started working for Charlie Kirk in 2020, and the story is that Charlie and Erica were at his father's church, and Mikey McCoy gave them a ride to LAX. Traffic was bad, and by the time they got there, Charlie Kirk offered him a job. I do find the stories of how everyone claims to have met Charlie Kirk or been offered their job really interesting, because it's always some divine intervention. Can't believe this happened.
Yes, I will definitely do that. I will add you. I'm sorry, I haven't been on. I've had a lot going on the last few days. I have not been on Discord in the last day or two, which is my bad, and I got to do better. But yes, I will definitely do that. Thank you.
And yeah, I don't buy it, but that's just my opinion. So that is how it was said that Mikey met it. But his dad's a pastor.
He was supposed to be, obviously, like with everything else, the story changed. There were multiple stories. But supposedly, and I'm not going to worry or try to get them in any particular order, because, again, that order seemed to have changed. Supposedly, he called Erica Kirk and he called his daddy, because we all remember Rob talking about that phone call where he was so impressed because Mikey was so magnificent and wonderful. He just took charge of the situation like a general, and like everything was just bam bam, kept his head on straight and was just calm, cool, and collected, and had blood all over him. None of which was true. None of it at all was true. But then also he was supposedly called Erica Kirk. According to Candace, he also called his wife. Now, he never mentioned this fact, but according to the phone record that Erica Kirk provided to Candace, which there is some question as to whether that was actually a legitimate phone record. But according to that phone record, he actually, I think, called his wife first and then made the other phone calls with her on three-way. So I don't know. That's the story. One of the stories.
And it's a megachurch. 4 of the people in Mikey McCoy's family work for Charlie Kirk. Mikey McCoy, his dad, and then his brother-in-law, I think it is, just kind of took over for the dad as the pastor of the church. And yeah, it's like a family function. So that's weird. His dad also arranged the 2023 trip to Israel for Charlie Kirk, and his dad had been to.
What's up, Sandy? Good to see you in here. Love them internationals. Thank you. And hey, thank you for abiding by the rule. You show up once, you gotta always show up after that, and you're doing good. Thank you. Thank you for the support. And like I said, I absolutely love the international community popping in here. That means some really good things, and I really appreciate you being here.
Israel, like, does 20 sometimes. 20.
Yeah. In case y'all missed that, yeah, Rob had been to Israel like 23 times, I think he said, which to me is just, we'll just go with excessive. And he's the one that lined up Charlie's trip there.
20 sometimes. Yeah. So that's who Mikey McCoy is. As the executive assistant / chief of staff, he was in charge of all of his travel, all of his everything, all of his meetings, everything, his calendar. Like, he knew so many details about Charlie Kirk. So that is who our tip is coming from. Let's look at why Mikey might have sent this tip in the first place. I came up with 4 reasonable explanations. There might be more, but I came up with 4, and I'm going to run through them with you all. So we have one, conscience, right? He saw something inside of the organization that bothered him. He couldn't say it out loud. His family's too embedded, so he leaked it sideways. That's one. Another one is family protective, like a redirection, basically. So he aims the spotlight at a non-family insider so that when the story does explode or something happens, the McCoys aren't at the center of it. 3, an authorized back channel. I mean, Eric Kirk, someone in the organization, could have Andrew Kvette, hell, could have been like Leah. This isn't my favorite one, but it is an option. It is definitely a possibility. And then 4, self-preservation. So he knew would have eventually surfaced things that touch him too. So he establishes himself as more of a witness and not a target. My read, based on just what I've seen and read, it reads more like numbers 2, the family redirection, to take the heat off the 4 people that work in there. Or number 4, the self-preservation. So he knows something's going to come out. So he's going to operate more as I've got info. Think about it. You can position yourself strategically as somebody who operates more as a witness and an insider instead of somebody who's going to have a target on their back. So someone in that organization will break and cross over if our government were looking into it. Yeah, they're not.
That's a big if. Y'all may not realize this, so I'm just going to let you know. The biggest word in the English language is the word if, believe it or not. If you think about it, you'll agree with me 100%. So, Rod, yes, that was Barron. Talked about how years ago he was actually a preacher that preached the gospel instead of straight politics. Now, am I against pastors having political leanings and political opinions? No. Do I want my pastor preaching politics from the pulpit? No. I think there's a fine line there. I think there for a long time, and this was intentional with the whole idea of the separation of church and state. I mean, I agree at a fundamental level, the government cannot control religion or any of that. But I think it was twisted, and I think for a long time, some Christians were under the impression that if you had to be one or the other. If you were a Christian, you had to just check out of politics. And then anybody that was in politics, well, wasn't all that Christian. What that does over time is ensures that everybody in the government is a pagan, satanic, freaking, there's a long list of adjectives and names I could throw in there, but a bunch of pedos and everything else. If Christians check out of politics, what we end up is well, kind of where we're at. A bunch of freaking Philadelphians and a bunch of Satanists, or some kind of combination of both. So Christians definitely have to be involved in politics. There is no doubt. It was Christian people that founded the country, and Christians definitely need to vote and vote like they're Christian. I digress.
So, in my opinion. So yeah, I think numbers 2 and 4 look to be the strongest reasons why he might have given that tip. Number 3, in my opinion, is the lowest possibility that somebody in the organization told him to do it. I don't see that happening. I think that they're trying to keep it close hold, whatever it is. So 1, 2, and
Scruff, you have a point. It is definitely a possibility. I have not decided for myself how I feel about it, but one possibility that I want people to consider, and to me, this is entirely possible, plausible, maybe even probable. So Charlie Kirk, we all know he was on the spectrum to a degree. We all know that he was extremely gifted, intelligent, all that, but we also know what he loved to do. And he even said in interviews, his strong point was not the books and the scheduling and all that, all the little details, in spite of what, some of them are now saying. You got Tyler Boyer especially that talks about how involved he was in all the little, day-to-day stuff and all the finances and everything. And I think that's for a reason. But regardless, he liked to go out. He liked to give speeches. He liked to debate at colleges. That was his thing. And even Candace had said it at one point that he enjoyed doing that and that she felt like the people at Turning Point kept him as busy as they possibly could. For what reason? Well, one could assume that maybe it was to keep him from being involved in the financial issue, the financial part of it, and all of that other stuff. I don't know. I'm not saying for sure that's what happened, but I could see the scenario being that he loved doing what he did on the road, and that's what he focused on. And he hired people he thought he could trust to handle the rest. Obviously, at some point, he started to realize what was going on, or at least it's a possibility, and that's when he had to go. So just something to consider.
And 4 could all be partly true, but those are the 4 reasons that I came up with that Mikey McCoy would have given this tip. So based on that, that's our source. That is what he had to lose or gain. So let's look at Andrew Kvette from an independent perspective and see if there is any validity or relationship to that tip. All right, Andrew Kvette, let's go to your deep dive. I laugh because Andrew Kvette and I exchange messages on X through comments. They're not nice. His reactions to so many things, people's comments, not just mine, are really telling to me. And I went and looked at videos of him just to do this podcast, and I had never paid attention to.
I said a long time ago that in some ways Charlie probably was. He wasn't like he wasn't a ladies' man. I'm not saying he was ugly. I'm not saying he was, but he was kind of nerdy. I mean, he had his ambitions and things that he focused on, and girls was just not one of them. And so, when a pretty girl gets set in front of you that says all the right things and somehow amazingly believes all the things that you believe and shares all your convictions and all of this, you feel like it was meant to be, and regardless of what they had done in their past, you don't see any of that, and all you can see is, oh, this is God. It's a God thing. I think that he was easy to fool in a lot of ways. I think that he was very trusting, and I think he put, allegedly, my opinion, not stated as fact, I believe he put way too much trust in his wife, and I believe he put too much trust in the people that he had around him. That's just my honest opinion.
How he acted after Charlie Kirk's assassination, and it's something. We're going to look at him, but let's first talk about how Andrew Kvette landed at TPUSA, because this is one of the red flags that I came across in my deep dive. All right, let's dive into Andrew Kvette. So Andrew Kvette, I started to do his Follow the Money. I had never talked to him. I'd never even watched videos of him. I really do try to approach these Follow the Monies from.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting her. We're going to have to stay on point. But one other thing, yes, and that therein lies the problem. I mean, if in fact he was chosen from an early age and he was everything, all the stars got aligned for him to drop into this position and do his thing, then after several years, he realizes what's going on, and all of a sudden they start realizing this guy's got a conscience. This guy's got his own thoughts. This guy is not going to keep on with the status quo. He's not going to toe the line. He's not going to carry water. He got to go.
An independent perspective, and I try not to judge or look at somebody's behavior prior to doing the Follow the Money. I do it after. And red flags galore. And then I started interacting with him on X when I got on about a month ago. And his responses to people's comments, not just mine, but a lot of people's, asking questions, questioning a narrative, they wouldn't even be bad. And he would attack them. Attack that they aren't buying into the narrative that he's creating. And what's important is that he's the PR and comms person. I personally feel like he does a terrible job, because if he's the one that's coaching Erica Kirk, he himself is not good. I'm just like, who taught you PR? And then I was like, oh, Johnny Moore. So yeah, Andrew Kvette's behavior alone is a red flag to me after I did the Follow the Money. It just kind of put our puzzle together. So I want to talk about his background. I want to talk about the Follow the Money. I want to talk about his behavior. That's what we're going to look at with Andrew Kvette. All right, Andrew Kvette's deep dive. I approach everyone's financial deep dive, Follow the Money deep dive, without looking at them first. I want to do it from an unbiased perspective. I want to see what the money finds. I do not come in with a hypothesis. I do not say this person is guilty. Let's find ways to make it look like that, because I feel like that ruins an investigation. I do say, let's follow the money on this person. And is it a dead end? For instance, Mikey McCoy, there isn't much there. I just never looked into him.
Following the money very rarely is a dead end. Now, hate to break it to your heart, Leah. Now, if you were to follow the money in my case, that would definitely be a dead end. So don't worry about looking this way. Trust me, that money trail's not going to lead very far. Now, but yes, when we start talking about these types of circles and these institutions, these types of, always follow the money. Always. It's always about the money in some shape, form, or fashion. At some point, yes, people get so rich, it's no longer technically about the money. Then it becomes about power and all that. But at the same time, what gets you to that point? It's money. So you can always follow the money. The money, just the money alone will always tell a hell of a story.
Because he wasn't in the Follow the Money. But I had some connections put together through the Follow the Money with Andrew Kvette. And that's when I started to look into him, because sometimes it's not always what is shown, it's what is missing. All right. So for Andrew Kvette's deep dive today, I want to go into his background, how he was placed inside of TPUSA, because that's quite important, his network with Johnny Moore. And then we're going to follow the money. We're going to look at what's in there and what's not. There's also a lot of, I will say quite a few red flags that I found legally, financially, that I would recommend looking into. And then we're going to look at his behavior, because that's what I did after. I looked at his videos, how he reacted to certain things, what he looked like, how he took the reins. And I want to show you guys some of that, because I think it pulls together the entire picture of just who Andrew Kvette is. I also, as part of my corporate intel firm, I have a risk assessment that I run CEOs and leadership through at first to figure out kind of where to dive into them more. And I ran Mikey McCoy and Andrew Kvette through my proprietary model. And I want to show you how both of them kind of shook out. So we're going to give them a risk assessment.
I got several people I could think of. I'd like to run through her little priority oh my God, I'm tongue twisted now. I'd like to run through her little system. Makes you wonder how many people she's done that she's not talking about. Wonder if she's ever run Gary Melton through there. Hey, Leah, come on. If you haven't, let's do it. I want to hear about it.
I did try to create some graphics for you all so that you could look at more things than just me the entire time. If you are listening on Spotify or other channels, it's okay. You don't need to see these, but you can head over to YouTube to look at them. All right, so let's look at Andrew Kvette's background, because he did not just get into Turning Point USA through a job application. I know that's shocking. Nobody did. But he got there through a connection, and his connection is really interesting to me. It was one of the first red flags I saw. His connection is Johnny Moore, who we'll get into in a minute. But let's look at Andrew's background really quick. So Kvette got his bachelor's at the University of Washington's Foster School of Business, so class of 2006. After college, he bounced around a bit, and he went from marketer to financial analyst to producer roles. He bounced around, and then he landed at the place that matters. That's what we're going to talk about. He became vice president at United Artists Media Group, also known as UAMG, and its faith-based content arm called Lightworks Media. Okay. Lightworks Media is a Mark Burnett and Roma Downey company. Mark Burnett is the producer of Survivor.
It's amazing how many of these roads lead back to one of two places, or both. And that is Hollywood and the military. And not just the military, but specifically, in most cases, some type of military intelligence or some kind of, it's crazy. It makes it almost seem like, a lot of that was intentional. I don't know that many people with those kinds of backgrounds, but Who am I?
The Apprentice, and The Voice. Long list of faith-based productions, including the History Channel's The Bible series. And MGM acquired 55% stake in Burnett's faith content companies and then rolled them into a new TV unit called United Artists Media Group, UAMG, with Burnett as the CEO. And that's the company that Andrew Kvette went to work for. Burnett also met Trump through The Apprentice. See where I'm going with this? All right, so here's a connection that I found that's interesting. But Johnny Moore, I won't let this go. The evangelical operator that I want you to remember was also UAMG. And Burnett personally recruited Moore to be his chief of staff and vice president of his faith content. So Andrew Kvette and Johnny Moore worked at the same Mark Burnett faith media operation. In 2015, Moore left UAMG and founded a PR firm called the Kairos Company based in Glendale, California. It's a Christian Zionist-focused company working with...
There's that Z word again. A lot of those Christian Zionists affiliated with Turning Point.
Churches, faith-based nonprofits, religious broadcasters, you name it, all right? Andrew Kvette went with him, and Kvette became the vice president of communications at Kairos. From Kairos, Kvette moved into TPUSA, working with Charlie. He became the official spokesperson of TPUSA. He also became the co-owner of the for-profit company Resolute Media Group. All right, so here's the first puzzle piece we're going to put together. Mikey McCoy, who's our source, came into TPUSA through his father, who was a pastor at a megachurch. Andrew Kvette came into TPUSA through Johnny Moore, who was Trump's faith advisor, aligned to so many megachurches. So the megachurch theme is really interesting to me. But let's get into who Johnny Moore is, who placed Andrew Kvette inside of TPUSA, the man who Andrew Kvette worked for, the man who taught Andrew Kvette how to be a PR person. This is going to be important. Personally, in my...
Well, he failed bigly because Andrew Kvette sucks at being a PR dude. Just saying, like, he is not helping Erica and or Turning Point at all. I don't know what the deal is there, but he was not very well trained in his craft.
My opinion. I'm giving away free advice here to them, but they never take it. If I were going to assess Andrew Kvette...
Hey, Barron offered him for $5 million a year to do PR for him. Guarantee you Barron could do way, 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 way better than Kvette. And there's no telling what. Honestly, $5 million a year is probably cheap. On the books, yeah, obviously he doesn't make anywhere near that, but under the table and spread out and, this way and that way, it appears that, oh yeah, it'd be at least $5 million there or maybe more.
I think he's honestly a terrible PR person. And if he is advising Erica Kirk, I think he's even worse. He is not doing that organization any sort of favor.
Who the hell thought it would be a good idea for Erica to dress up like a burglar and get on the internet in front of God and everybody and just oh God, look, I'm not going to, let's stay on point.
And I just wonder who taught him. So I looked into Johnny Moore and I was like, oh, that's who taught him. All right, let's go. Johnny Moore. Johnny Moore is one of the most powerful evangelical operators in America that you've probably never even heard of. He chairs the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, one of the largest Christian Zionist fundraising operations in the country. They raise hundreds of millions of dollars a year for Israel. He sits on the national board of the Anti-Defamation League as of January 2026. He helped organize the evangelical pressure campaign that pushed Trump to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, which Sheldon Adelson, Miriam Adelson's boo, personally bankrolled it. So they're all connected. And from springtime 2025 until November 2025, when it was shut down, Johnny Moore was the executive chairman of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And I want to park here for a minute because this one's bad. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was a U.S. and Israeli-backed fundraising organization, nonprofit, that was supposed to deliver aid to Palestinians in Gaza, since Israel destroyed it. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation took $35 million of U.S. taxpayer money to deliver aid at these sites. And they also had, I think, 75 million. It was a lot, plus at least 75 million in dark money, untraceable money. So 35 million in taxpayer dollars and 75 plus million in dark money.
Just a quick detour, Brett. Yes, look, hey. You go back and look at those screenshots, those pictures of her when she was working on that movie at Fort Huachuca. I can't remember the name of it now, but anyway, that's what I instantly thought of when I seen her dressed in black like that on there in Charlie's studio. That was the first thing I thought of, was that movie. I was like, wow, they dressed her up like the assassin in the movie she was playing in.
Johnny Moore was asked about what's that 75 plus million, where did it come from? He wouldn't tell anyone. He refused to tell anyone. That's a red flag. I think we can all kind of come to a conclusion on where that money came from if he's not going to tell anyone. But there have been numerous outlets that reported that that money came from covert, dark Israeli IDF money. I'm just telling you.
Surely not. Surely not. Come on now.
I'm just telling you what was reported. But as a follow the money person, it tracks. It tracks because the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, in my opinion, was anything but. The UN reported that almost 2,000 Palestinians were killed seeking food between May and mid-August of 2025. 194 were killed in the vicinity of these distribution sites. So the foundation was suspended in November because of its atrocities. I think they had hundreds of complaints from everywhere around the world, and they shut it down. And it's been reported that Israeli soldiers were the ones killing Palestinians when they came to get their aid. So Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was shut down in November because, it was known for killing people with our tax dollars too. And so in January of 2026, after he had such a great run with Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, he was put on the board of ADL, which is Anti-Defamation League. It's a nonprofit. I've done a comparison of them and Southern Poverty Law Center, the one that just got indicted. They're both very similar. They identify hate groups. This one's anti-Semitism mainly, but both of them had Turning Point USA on their list. ADL has since removed Turning Point USA. Johnny Moore, who...
The ADL is the group that put the watermelon emoji as being anti-Semitic because it stands for or is used to represent Palestinians in certain on certain platforms that won't allow you to say Palestinians without getting booted off. So if that tells you anything about the ADL.
Placed Andrew Kvette into Turning Point USA, has connections to all of these people. I found that really interesting. All right. So now that we know Andrew Kvette's background, which I'm sorry, it's not impressive, but we're seeing it play out. He's just not good at his job.
Miss Susan, now they already did once. I mean, Germany, they had to pay reparations. It's but it's 1,000 wonders they haven't hit us up for reparations too.
Job, in my opinion, but also who placed him within Turning Point USA. Let's look at how he shows up or doesn't in TPUSA's financials. All right, so I want to look at the donor architecture of these megachurches quickly because I think that it gives you a good perspective of all of the intersections of this mess that we're dealing with, and it's kind of why Follow the Money is so beautiful. All right, so on the left you have your pro-Israel cause donors. You have Mary Madelson, she's probably the largest pro-Israel cause donor in the nation. She's given Trump hundreds of millions of dollars. The Shillman Foundation, which Shillman is the one that took away his $2 million donation to Charlie Kirk just 2 days before he was assassinated. The Adelson Family Foundation, and then Willis Brothers, who are a fracking empire in Texas. You can see how they each donate to certain aligned PACs, and then you can see the TPUSA faith. Really interesting that it aligns to the Shillman Foundation. I do think there are a lot of other connections among these that are not necessarily as evident. They're done through dark money donors, but for the sake of what is able to be linked, this is what I came up with. And the reason that's important is because if you look at the building of the megachurch that Mikey McCoy's dad, Pastor
Godspeak,
Rob, was out of, the Godspeed Calvary Chapel. What I found interesting is that Heavenly Father's Foundation actually owns the building, and then they lease it to Godspeed Calvary Chapel. Heavenly Father's Foundation is owned by the Willis brothers, the fracking billionaires. So then that leads to TPUSA faiths. All right, now we're going to follow the money on Andrew Kvette. I mean, one of my favorite things to do. Let's go. All right, so first I want to orient you if you haven't seen a 990 before, because I say the word all the time and not everyone cares or knows what they are. So I just want to orient you as far as what I'm looking at so that if you guys ever want to look into a nonprofit yourself, you can do it. I also have a Follow the Money deep dive investigative toolkit that you all can purchase. It's a PDF. It's 22 pages at this point, but it walks you through how to investigate someone through a 990, a nonprofit, how you can investigate a politician, things like that, how you can follow the money. So you can also take a look at that. It's blood, sweat, and tears went into that one. ProPublica is a great resource for nonprofit 990s. They also do some news and investigations themselves. But if you scroll down, like if you look up Turning Point USA Inc., you can scroll down and see all of the filings year over year. You can see a summary of them. And this kind of orients you as far as what's their revenue looking like. Do you see large jumps? You don't always have to go into the 990s right away. You want to know where to focus. We don't have unlimited time. So know where to focus your efforts. And this is how I start. I look at this summary, and then I say, okay, these years look interesting, and then I go to the PDF. So then you look at it and you can see that they're pretty extensive, but they have a breakdown of everything in them. And every nonprofit that records over $50,000 a year in revenue is required to submit a 990. There are other requirements that you need to put in here, just various requirements. So that's where we start our investigation. And this is what we're going to look at with Andrew Kvette. Andrew Kvette is a spokesperson of TPUSA. If CNN or Fox News or anybody, a reporter, calls or emails for a quote, that's who answers. Andrew Kvette. He's the face of their communication.
Again, any negative press, any negative views, any like it's all Andrew Kvette, and that's why I have said from day one that people talk about attacking Charlie's legacy and attacking Turning Point. It is Erica and the people around that were around Charlie, the people at Turning Point that are at war with Charlie's legacy, hands down, no doubt about it. At the end of the day, which is all there is to it.
Do I think he does a good job? No, I don't know. But I could be wrong. I'm not wrong. It's my opinion. It's my opinion. He doesn't do a good job. You just might disagree with me. But he also is the co-host of the Charlie Kirk.
What's up, Elizabeth? Yes, you did. Good to see you there. Glad you was able to catch me. Yes. Thank you.
Show, as we see on our screens almost daily. Andrew Kvette is also a co-owner of Resolute Media that hosts the Charlie Kirk show. So the Resolute Media Group is owned by him, Charlie Kirk, and Tyler Boyer. You can see here, this is one of the only corporate filings that have not changed from Charlie Kirk to Erica Kirk. Most of them have changed the name over, but this one hasn't. And so I wanted to pull the thread on it a little more, but we'll get back to that one. So he is a co-owner of the Resolute Media Group, and he also has his own ATK Media Inc., Andrew Thomas Kvette. Interestingly enough, this was founded in 2016 when he moved on over to TPUSA and was placed there by Johnny Moore, in my opinion. Take note of all of these. We're going to dig more into them. So Andrew Kvette is the public voice of this 501c3 nonprofit, the production seat of its flagship media product, and has an ownership stake in the for-profit. Resolute Media is a for-profit media company, and he has his own consulting firm, ATK Media. So let's dive into where they show up in the 990s, because they're all working together. They should show up, right? Okay. So here's the thing. I went through every 990. I showed you.
One would assume.
You were to go through them. I will not bore you with scrolling through them. And if you go in there and you Control F, Andrew, if you Control F Kvette, if you Control F Resolute Media, if you Control F ATK Media, I don't care what year you go in, you're not going to find anything. You're not going to find anything. And I found that to be very strange.
Very, very interesting.
I was like, it's a 990. They don't show up in the vendors or contractors. Andrew Kvette.
And they're raking in more than $50,000 a year. So, then there's that.
Doesn't show up in the executive board, even though AP reported that he made $255,000 a year, which would definitely put him up there. And you would think that if he was the head of comms and PR, he would be named as one of the directors. The fact that Andrew Kvette nor his media company were anywhere on the 90s told me more than if they were. If they were on there, you could say, okay, they get paid this much. This is how they all work. This is how the money flows. I'm not saying anything they're doing is illegal, but I am saying that it is worth looking into.
Again, like I said at the beginning of this, just because it's legal does not make it ethical. So just because you can get by with it and not go to jail does not mean that it's good practice or something that you should do. If nothing else, you've got your image to worry about at places like this. But besides that, I mean, these donors, one would think that the donors would want their their donations to be used in a certain way and everything to be transparent and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, too, you know what? Some of them, it may just be a huge tax write-off, and they may not give two shits what the money gets used for.
The fact that Andrew Kvette and ATK Media don't show up on the 90s at all, it's like he's a ghost. It's like he's a ghost employee. Here's the most interesting thing that I found that I missed the first time, because I don't think enough time had passed for me to be like, okay, this is a thing. 8 days after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, they named Erica Kirk as the CEO and chairman of the board. I think that's the dumbest thing they could have done, but I do think there were intentions behind that, which I'll get into in a different episode. But Andrew Kvette stepped up as the co-host really soon after, and they started the Charlie Kirk show. And they're like, this is what Charlie wanted. This is what Charlie wanted. Meanwhile, it's a for-profit company making money off the likeness of a founder that was just assassinated.
And still, it still is listed on there. I want y'all to make sure that y'all catch that point. Y'all understand what exactly she's saying there. I'll let her keep talking. She'll drill down on it.
So in my mind, looking at their patterns of behavior, it looks to me like they did it so that they could actually take advantage of it, which is why you'll see a lot of people call people grifters or just say, Candace is doing this for the money. No. What looks like is that you guys did.
And I hope yesterday I cleared that up about Candace is doing this for the money. I even thought about doing a whole show, or at least a segment or part of a show on that, because you hear that so much. And I mean, I'm not taking up for her just because she's her, but at the end of the day, I don't think she's really gaining anything at all. I don't think she has gained anything over the past 8 months, other than hopefully by the time this is over with, she'll gain some closure, maybe at least.
That's what it looks like. I mean, they say it about Candace. We can say it, right? That's what it looks like, because they started that show up like wham, bam, thank you, bam. Want to know why? Because it's for profits. And the owner had just been assassinated. So everyone was going to tune in and they were going to make a kill. It's just my opinion. So the interesting thing.
Why ain't they took his picture off there? Why ain't they took his name off there? Why haven't they named it something other than the Charlie Kirk Show? We all know, allegedly. We all know. They're using his name to rake in lots of money. Now, is it working when it comes to the show, the podcast? I would say no. I mean, a lot of small YouTube channels are getting way more views. I can't say yet that I get more views than they do, but like, it's ridiculous though, the amount of views that they get compared to what they used to get. Their people are not watching. And honestly, with good reason. Charlie was good to watch. He was great. Blake, Neff, and Andrew Kvette are not. That is my opinion. I'm not stating that as fact, but I don't know anybody that would not agree with that. Those are two faces that, well, one at least for sure is a face made for radio, and the other one is just unbearable in so many ways.
Though, is that Erica Kirk becomes CEO. Everything starts concentrating around this orbit. All the names are changed. Charlie Kirk was replaced with Erica Kirk.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Mr. Blake and that whole little ordeal. That is an interesting. That is so interesting. So I was talking to Mitch yesterday about, and we are still doing this show, people, I promise. But he was in court again yesterday, and so we're trying to work it out. But he's got a lot of stuff going on. Regardless, back to what I was about to say. She showed those screenshots of those messages yesterday about them basically trying to trap her. So yeah, here in the near future, I was talking to Mitch about it yesterday. We're going to do a show. And we're going to talk, obviously, and other things, but we're going to talk about that particular part of it. We're going to talk about them allegedly conspiring to use Mitch, to trap her. And it looks like Blake and all that stuff. We're going to talk about all that stuff. I think that'll be a very interesting conversation to have.
Filings, except for Resolute Media. Resolute Media, Charlie Kirk is still on there as the founder, and she's not. Charlie Kirk has been dead for 8 months, and the for-profit company that produces the show, that carries his name, has not been reorganized to reflect that. I found that to be really interesting. All right, so I came up with 4 reasonable
Yes, Raining, her podcast was, and I don't know if you were listening yesterday when I went through that, but when she blew up was from late 2024 on into 2025, but way before September. And since then, I mean, obviously, as with most channels, yes, views have gone up and subscribers have gone up, but the real explosion was in 24 to 25 when, right after she left the Daily Wire. That is when she took off. Give me just a second, Elizabeth. I will drop that in the chat. What was the other thing I was going to hit on? Oh, yes, Scruff. So, interesting comment. I do see what I understand that. At the same time, and yes, if she gets, I guess if it gets to a certain point, they will. But one thing, and people always wonder that, well, why can she say certain things? Why could she do certain things? Why doesn't she get demonetized? Blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, you can get so big. You can get so big that they don't want to mess with you, no matter what you say. Because at the end of the day, yeah, she's making millions off of that podcast. Imagine what YouTube is making off of the advertisements and stuff. They just, when you get that big, it's hard for them to mess with you for that very reason. Now, yes, absolutely. I feel like it could get to a point where maybe the government would even step in some way. But I think that it's natural for people to think, well, why can she say something? Why can she talk about some of the stuff she talks about and doesn't get demonetized or kicked off of YouTube? If she got kicked off of YouTube, I mean, that would be a hell of a lick to YouTube, I promise you. Because as much as she's making, they're making way more. Way more.
Explanations as to why they would do this. None of them are reassuring, though, so I don't know what to tell you. All right, the first one. The operating agreement requires unanimous consent among the board members to admit and change out the name. Kvette and Boyer would have to say, yes, Erica Kirk, you're in. We're going to change the name. If they didn't do that, then she would just have an economic interest. But what that does is protects Boyer and Kvette from the board coming after them. Erica Kirk wouldn't have a vote. She wouldn't have operational say. It structurally protects Boyer and Kvette from any TPUSA board action against them. All right, 2, the probate's pending, which I definitely think could be the case. The estate has not yet been adjudicated. Charlie's stake is technically frozen until then. 8 months in is on the long side of a probate that hasn't substituted a member, but it's possible. It's possible. Okay, the third one I came up with was that Boyer and Kvette are renegotiating to buy out the estate. The negotiation hasn't concluded, so the public record stays static.
Buying out means though they would cost them some money, so you gotta kind of factor that in too.
That's an option. All right, the fourth one.
It would be an investment, but
Last one. The status quo is being deliberately preserved. As long as Charlie Kirk remains a member, certain operational agreements that depended on him remain valid.
He's a member. He remains a member. Again, like, he is dead. For God's sake, let the man, God, let him rest in peace. And now we've got this, and hey, look here, she's about to mention, I don't know if y'all seen on, it's been floating around about how there is allegedly a legal battle going on right now between Erica and his parents over the rights to, his name and all that stuff. I haven't said anything about it because it's not been confirmed yet. I haven't been able to confirm that. Don't know anybody so far that has absolutely confirmed it. But she does bring it up and mention it, so that adds a little bit more credibility to the idea.
So service contracts, distribution agreements, signing authorities, that could be one. All 4 explanations, though, have one thing in common. They keep Boyer and Kvette in control of the for-profit that captures the revenue from the non-profit, regardless of what happens to TPUSA itself. Do they care that TPUSA is making a lot of drama or creating a lot of drama? Maybe not. Maybe that's the goal. Maybe the goal is to continue to create the drama and divide people so that they tune in to listen to the drama and they just make money off the show, acting like the good guys, but really they're just profiting from it. So whatever the TPUSA board does, the for-profit structure is insulated because they haven't added Erica Kirk. That is what I found interesting, folks. What I found interesting. In my opinion, if the Doge-like assessment had been done, the relationship between Resolute Media and the nonprofit would have been one of the first things that would have been looked at. But the audit died with him, and the for-profit just used his name to continue operating, which is why they haven't changed it. Interesting. All right, we're going to finish up our follow the money conversation. Okay, these are the red flags where I was like, WTF, what's going on? All right, the first one. The spokesperson of an $85 million organization is nowhere to be found on 7 years of 990s. Okay, that makes sense. The second red flag is that Andrew Kvette's ATK Media was paying Aubrey, the PR person for TPUSA, while she was a TPUSA employee. That right there, the whole shadow payroll thing, huge red flag. Huge red flag. Number 3, the for-profit company that is producing the show with the owner's name and using it, and has been, is nowhere to be found on the 990. It's not the Schedule R, it's not the Schedule L. Oh, none of them. And there's no business transactions anywhere in the 990. And again, what we were talking about, you had to be paying royalties. Fair market value. Well, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. We would have seen that money. Nowhere. That's red flag 3. 4.
Yeah, and the way they valued those royalties is absolutely ludicrous.
Royalty income.
Laughable.
Is $126,000. That's what it was reported as for a 3-hour-a-day show across 195 channels. No, for an $85 million organization. Yeah, red flag. And the 5th red flag, the one we just talked about, 8 months after Charlie Kirk was.
And Nosy, you know what? If it is true and they have been in that battle, I can almost guarantee you, not knowing them, I can't 100% guarantee you, but I can almost guarantee you it's not about them. It's probably more about his kids they probably want to ensure that his kids have rights to his name and all of the money that is going to come with the rights to his name. Could be wrong. Like I said, I don't know his parents, but I'd say that's probably what it's about.
Assassinated. The for-profit's ownership structure is still showing him. And there's a reason. There's a reason that a dead man is still listed as the co-owner on the for-profit. Each one of these should be a follow-up question for the board. That would
$100K a month? I would guess way more than that. I could be wrong. I don't see them paying her more than they're making. And let me tell you, she's raking in way more than $100K a month. Now, I could be wrong. I'd have to go. I could look into that. And maybe YouTube pays out more than they make themselves. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what percentages, how that works. I should know. I'm not monetized yet. Trust me. I will know very soon because I'm going to know all that. I want to make sure I know what I'm getting. But yes, no, but I would say more than that. That's just my guess.
be a board that actually cared. So yeah, free advice, man. Free expensive advice. Expensive advice. Y'all should take it. It's so funny because I keep wanting to say, this is getting long, so cutting myself off like I do in my TikToks, but this is a podcast and I can go as long as we need to go. So pretty crazy. We have looked at Mikey McCoy and why he might have given.
And that is true. And again, for some creators, that might work and might work fairly easily. But, and you know what? Enough pressure and they may drop her. But like her sponsors that she has, you know, separate from YouTube, her sponsors, how much money does she make them? I mean, yes, they pay her very well because when she does an ad read, it sells a lot of shit. So again, when you get so big, I mean, it's hard to convince people that are making that kind of money off of her to just, you know, turn it down, walk away.
The tip. We have looked at Andrew Kvette's background. We have looked at Andrew Kvette's Follow the Money. We are now going to look at Andrew Kvette's behavior and interviews post Charlie Kirk's assassination, because I want to take all of it and pull it together for you all as far as.
That's right. Yes, I think YouTube pays. I think YouTube takes 30% of super chats, so that would make it 30 for YouTube, 70 for the creator. That being said, I'm not sure on ads though. Ads is what's in question. I don't know whether they pay the majority to the creator and just keep a small portion, or if they keep as much or the bigger. You know, I don't know. It could be a 50-50 split. It could be 40-60, 30-70. I had no clue what they do on ads. So ads is the one that I'm not sure about.
What I think. And then I want to show you the risk assessment that I did. I want to look at two or three short videos. The first one is going to be his speech at Charlie Kirk's memorial, you know, the event.
Yeah, that's per month. Super chats only. Yes, super chats only. No ads, nothing. Yes, it's crazy.
All right, let's look at it.
But hey, he works his ass off, and he puts out some really good content. So you know what? More power to him. That's Barron is my that's where I'd like to be one day. Trust me, not saying I'll ever get there, but he's a good one to aspire to be like, I think.
My name is Andrew Kvette. I am spokesman for Turning Point USA. I'm a business partner of Charlie's. I was the executive producer. I am the executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show. But most of all, I'm a longtime friend of Charlie's.
Thank you, Hall Monitor. Yes, y'all please do that for me.
Charlie and I built the show over 8 years, brick by brick. And I'm so proud of what we accomplished together. And these wonderful people standing behind me are the geniuses, the camera ops, the board ops, the producers, the editors, and the social media team who made the show happen every single day. You preempted my applause line, so we're going to do it again. They deserve it. They have performed their duties heroically this last week. So please join with me in a big round of applause for them. It's been excruciating to do this show.
Don't everybody stand up, clap, and cheer at once.
The last week. But we knew it's exactly what Charlie would have wanted. And I want to thank you, the audience. You've helped us work through our grief and our broken hearts, live, on camera, streaming everywhere. And I hope that we've been able to help you do the same in some small way.
There's only so much of him I can take. Interesting things I saw in that speech, okay? One, the emotion was one of celebration. And you can come after me for saying that. But if you look at memorials like Kobe Bryant, numerous people got up there. There wasn't a dry eye. You look at Charlie Kirk's memorial. It was like celebrating. And you could celebrate life, but 1 week after, I'm sorry, but grief is grief. And what I really found interesting was when he was talking about the show that he made with Charlie. We built it brick by brick. Him and Charlie. He didn't say anything about Tyler Boyer, okay? We built it brick by brick, me and Charlie, over the 8 years. So when Mikey McCoy said that Andrew Kvette had a lot to lose from the donors pulling out, just saying. Really interesting. But yeah, I thought his speech was like he was giving a speech to get people on board. There wasn't any grief in there. I'm sorry. All right, one more.
People who we like and who deserve the benefit of the doubt.
And in this moment, I know there's a lot of people online. We hear you.
Okay, guys, just to answer the question here in real time. So YouTube pays the creator 55% of the ad revenue and keeps 45% for themselves. So though it's not 50-50, it's really close, which means that whatever ad revenue she generates, which is a lot, YouTube gets almost just as much. So that's why they're kind of motivated, especially on channels that large, to just let them do what they do.
That are saying different things and they're processing their guilt in the way that
their grief.
Their grief. Thank you.
People are processing their guilt in various ways. I mean, the Freudian slip there is...
That's the best. When I heard that, I was just like, my God, that is the best example of a Freudian slip I have ever heard. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but after I did the Follow the Money and after I watched Andrew Kvette, no. I don't think that man feels bad at all. This is just my opinion. Yeah.
Nope.
That's makes sense why he gaslights us. Because I mean, him being exposed is like, he just does it to himself. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. You're not fooling anyone. So Andrew Kvette is the voice of TPUSA. He's a co-owner of Resolute Media Group, which is a for-profit entity. He owns his own consulting company, ATK Media, and he's the co-host on the Charlie Kirk Show. So when I went into the 990s, I was like, well, obviously something's going to be in here. Let's follow the money. Unfortunately for us, oddly enough, he wasn't anywhere to be found. If you Control F Andrew Kvette, ATK Media, they're nowhere on any 990. And yet ProPublica reported that in 2022, Andrew Kvette made $255,000. So how does somebody make $255,000, which would put him top 3 that year, I think, top 3 paid employees, not on the 990, which means his money's coming from somewhere. So either he wasn't getting paid by TPUSA at all, in which case, where does that number come from? Or he was paid through a route that doesn't have to show up on the form. But in my opinion, that would look like an intentional route. Why wouldn't he be paid by TPUSA? Just a question. All right, so the 4 legal routes that he could take to not show up on this 990 is Salem Media pays ATK Media for its production work. Another one is Resolute Media generates the podcast and ad revenue and distributes those profits to its 3 owners, Andrew, Tyler, and Charlie. The third option is ATK Media bills TPUSA under the contractor vendor threshold. That could happen. Or the fourth one, compensation is split across the TPUSA for related entities so that no single filing carries enough to require disclosure. All 4 of those options are completely legal. But what it tells me is that in combination with Andrew Kvette being who he is, and having such a stake, co-ownership in Resolute Media with Tyler Boyer and Charlie Kirk, and not anywhere on the 990, it shows me an architecture of perhaps an intent to stay off the 90s. And so my question is why? Why would they want to do that? I'm not accusing anyone of anything. Like I said, it's legal. But my question with all of the follow the money stuff is why is it seemingly intentionally hidden that Andrew Kvette does anything with TPUSA? Let's park on that. In January of 2026, TPUSA staffer named Aubrey Leitch, I'm so sorry, I know I butchered that name. She was fired. She was the one who allegedly the Uber driver narked on her for saying that Erica Kirk was terrible and things were going downhill. I always found that story
Bullshit.
to be very strange because why would an Uber driver call and say that unless your Uber drivers were told to report?
Makes more sense to me that possibly she's got one of those Turning Point affiliated apps on her phone, one of those by like super feeds, or something possibly with some Israeli ties, which they all have. And somebody may have just been listening directly to the conversation and she may not have known it, you reckon? Maybe they just blamed it on the Uber driver because they probably knew she was sitting in an Uber exactly where she was at. I mean, that is literally just a thought out of my head. That is totally allegedly and may not be any fact at all, but makes more sense to me than a random Uber driver decided to call them and talk about a conversation that this girl had with him in the car.
Or back to you. It's just, or your Uber drivers weren't really Uber drivers. They were there to monitor. It's a very strange story to me, but moving on. So Aubrey was fired. She had been at the organization since August of 2021. She started as an associate producer and became a PR specialist and eventually managed the entire PR department. So
yeah, the problem is, though, they are also on the payroll, and that is double dipping the way I see it.
She came up through the ranks. 4 years is how long she worked at TPUSA. She went on the Candace Owens show to explain why she was fired. And in that statement, caught something very interesting. She said that she was on the books at ATK Media, Andrew Kvette's company, when she was fired by TPUSA. Interesting. So on the books for ATK Media while doing PR work for TPUSA. That's not me inferring.
Yes, I want y'all to think about how strange that is, how wild that is. She even said that she worked directly for Andrew. Like she is on the books working for Andrew's company in TPUSA doing PR for TPUSA. And unless I'm confused and mistaken, literally the TPUSA lawyers, and I don't think Andrew was in on that, but I'm pretty sure TPUSA people are the ones that came in and fired her and sent her packing. So how in the hell does that work? Talk about shady.
Anything. That's what the staffer said. That's what Aubrey said on camera. So ATK Media is not on the 90s anywhere. You have a TPUSA staffer being paid by them, according to her. So we've seen this pattern across multiple years. You had Stacey Sheridan, which we're going to go into in the next podcast, the total picture of the follow the money. But Stacey Sheridan's GSM strategies in Cloverstone, Lion Rock, while she was getting paid, she was opening LCs that all linked to the same address, closing them, opening another one, and getting money from TPUSA.
All right, guys. Look, we've been here an hour and 15 minutes. Let's stop before we get deep into Stacey Sheridan. Let's pause it there, and then honestly, if I could jump on for a few minutes this evening, we could finish it up. I'm not gonna make any promises though, but if I don't though, in the morning we'll finish it up, and depending on how much longer it takes, we can maybe look at some other things too, because I got a couple other short things that I'd like to talk about. But yeah, I think that's a good break or pause. I think that's a good place to pause. And I'll go do some real work and then we'll meet back here. I need, unless somebody has subbed since the start of this, I need 58. So anybody y'all can possibly think of, send them over to sub. That'd be great. Or maybe it's 48. I can't remember. Lord have mercy. Let's see. No, it's 442. So it's 58. Yeah, it's 58. Anyway, yeah, so I'm getting there. And something else I wanted to mention, obviously, y'all don't have to, but if you wanted, actually, would that work or not? Yes, anybody that has more than one YouTube account, whenever you're watching, if you wanted to play it on both accounts, that would help a lot, because once I get to the 500, I also have to make, I think it's 3,000 watch hours. And right now I'm about 18 or 1900 watch hours. So anyway, if anybody's got more than one account and you wanted to do that, that would be great also, because that would be double watch hours for the time you're on there. But hey, we're getting there regardless. And I appreciate the support. Appreciate y'all showing up. It's always a good time. Today was no exception to that. So absolutely. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah. So my support links are in the chat pinned to the top. My support links are in the description of the video. I got PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo, depending on which flavor you prefer. If you can, absolutely, it would be much appreciated. If not, though, I mean, hey, the main thing is y'all showing up every time. I really appreciate it. Trust me, this would be hard to do if y'all didn't show up like you did, and I really, really appreciate y'all, and I absolutely love this time. The chat is great. But anyway, guys, we will meet back here soon. I'm going to go to work. Y'all have a good rest of the day. Hopefully it's as pretty outside where y'all are at as it is here, as it is absolutely beautiful. So thank y'all, guys. Y'all send everybody you can my way. Make sure you like the video. Anybody that's listening an hour later, please subscribe. Guys, I will see you back here soon. Thank y'all.